Hey foodies, I'm gonna make a new video today by the request of my friend John about how to make some good chicken crust pizza in a wood-fired or stone-baked oven. I did it the other day and made some amazing pizza, and it's better than the last time I did it. So I want to show the recipe, how I did it, and why it's slightly different than the last time and why it turned out better. So we're gonna start out with chicken. It's a chicken crust pizza. You need chicken, you're gonna need Parmesan. For the crust, you're going to need a couple eggs and then spices and things that you want to have in there. And we'll walk through all of that as we go along. But first things first, we're going to take 2 cans. 2 cans gets me a large pizza about, 16, 18 inches at about 1/4 inch thick. So 2 cans of canned chicken. These are 12.5 ounces each. So if you're getting little ones, you may need bigger ones, but these ones from Costco are the best. I'm going to start with a colander, and we're going to strain these into the sink. I'm going to pour them onto a pan, and I'm going to put these in my toaster oven. I'm going to pat them down with a paper towel, put it in the toaster oven. I'm going to let that chicken kind of dry out until it gets kind of a little bit brown, a little bit crusty on the top, and that will help us then blend it into a crust. We don't want sopping wet chicken. That's not the right way to start. All right, 2 cans. 2 cans, get those in the sink. We're just going to toss it a little bit, get the water out of those. Put it back here on this tray that I'm going to use in my toaster oven just to dry this stuff out. I'm just going to take these and break them down because I don't need super large chunks to dry it out faster. I'm going to spread it out so that the air will get to. I'm going to put my toaster oven in convection mode. So we just spread this out in the pan. Get it where it can be in the toaster oven at 400 for about, 10, 15 minutes or something, maybe less, until we see the top getting dry and crusty, and then it'll be ready for processing into a crust. All right, we're going to put this in the toaster oven. Yeah, I'm going 400. And check back on it in about 10 minutes, see how she's looking. All right, while the chicken is drying out in the oven, I've got my other oven also preheated to 400. We'll show you why in a minute. And I've got a pizza pan here. We are going to cook this in the flamed stoned pizza cooker, but I've got a pizza pan here for what I'm going to do in the oven. And I've cut 2 pieces of parchment paper, just slid them out and trimmed 2 of these to about the size of this pan, which is somewhat close to what the size of the pizza is going to be. And this is where we'll be doing our pizza crust formation and then semi pre-baking it in the oven. This is also a great time to get some other things ready. I'm getting out some really rich tomato herb spice pasta sauce here. If you want to use pizza sauce, pasta sauce, Italian sauce, marinara sauce, up to you. But I'm going to get a custom sauce ready today. I'm going to do a what do you call it? A Canadian bacon pizza. So it's going to be less of the pepperoni and traditional style and more a little bit sweeter. So I'm going to get some tomato sauce marinara ready there, as well as some sweeter hickory barbecue style sauce here. And we're going to have that Canadian bacon pineapple going today. We're going to use fresh mozzarella. So already sliced, got this at Costco, also love it. We've got our Canadian bacon ready. And we're also going to need to slice up some black olives. I love those on there. But the marinara and the kind of the barbecue sauce is not going to be totally all the way there for me. I need to add a few things to this mix. So I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil and some spices, including our Italian spices. Always going to be using those all over these pizzas. Italian spices are wonderful on pizza. We're going to use a little bit of smoked paprika, a little bit of wood-fired smoked garlic. Just not a ton of these, just a little bit. You're going to whisk those all together so that oil is well mixed in with the sauces. Do a quick finger check. Make sure it's sweet enough for a Canadian bacon. It's not quite for me, so I'm going to add a little bit of sugar-free simple syrup that I make for making drinks and all kinds of things, just to sweeten this up a touch. Make that with those monk fruit kind of xylitol sweeteners. Boil it into a simple syrup. I can use it for all kinds of great things like this. Let me try it now. That's perfect. Okay. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. It's almost to that area of being like a barbecue type pizza. Okay. Now look at that little tomato got cut in there. That's some fresh sauce. Get that out of the way. We're gonna slice some olives up. Black olives are gotta be drained. They're fun. They're kind of small, so you can either buy pre-sliced ones, but I just like to rip into them here. All right, they got all the olives ready. You got to pop one in your mouth. Those are so good. Next thing, we get those out of the way, and we can get ready for the rest of the pizza dough. Dough, quote unquote. This is pretty simple. You're gonna take a food processor or some other type of really good mixing device. We're gonna start out by putting a couple eggs in here. So we got 2 eggs. So 1 egg per can of chicken. If you're doing a single small pizza, you only need 1 egg. And then take Parmesan cheese, some good solid Parmesan. And this is gonna be in the crust. And you're gonna put maybe about 1/4 cup or a little bit more of Parmesan in there. And that's gonna blend in with those eggs. Now the thing I did last time, the different than I did the first time I made this, is I've added a little bit of Parmesan, or not Parmesan, but grated mozzarella cheese to the mix. And if you're making like a fathead style keto crust pizza, the whole pizza crust is nothing but mozzarella cheese. But in this case, I'm actually just putting some in the mix with the chicken. And I think that made a difference because the crust turned out way better. So I'll put about 1/4 cup of that in there or so. Maybe that's about a half. I'm gonna get in trouble. Okay, now I've got this mostly ready for when the chicken's ready. I'm gonna check on the chicken here. It's almost there. I can see a couple little tips browning up. There's other things I like to put in the crust. I like to follow in with a little bit of this. And you can put whatever you want, but I'm putting some garlic in there. In this case, it's a wood-fired garlic. And don't overdo this. You don't want your crust to get too salty or too whatever. But it definitely adds some flavor. I'm gonna add a little bit of that smoked paprika. All the same stuff I put in the sauces. I'm gonna add this some Italian spices down into the crust itself. Some black pepper. I'm not gonna add salt because I think I'm gonna get enough of that somewhere else. And I found this cool chili roasted garlic Parmesan spice at Costco the other day. I love finding new spices and flavors. I'm gonna put a touch of that in there as well. None of this is gonna hurt it, it's just gonna add some flavor to it. And now we're ready to blend this thing up and get the chicken in there, but chicken's not quite ready. I'm gonna give this a pre-blend. Just gonna pulse it a few times here. It's nice and blended up, wet, ready to go. Let me check on that chicken. The other thing we can do while the chicken is finishing up getting ready is get our pizza oven ready. We just got a massive snowstorm here in Utah, so this thing's got to get cleaned off and ready to go, including just taking the snow off of it to start with. Oh my gosh. Pizza oven, here we go. Let me pull off this cool cover that came with it, and this guy will be ready to go. All right, we got the gas, the power hooked up. We're gonna flame this thing up. Boom, get that stone going. Let that heat up to 600-700 degrees. Woo! Dang! And go back and check on our chicken. All right, we pulled the chicken out of the toaster oven. You can see it's kind of brownish on top, like it's been dried out. And you wanna, if you didn't spray the bottom of your pan like I didn't, just wanna loosen it all up. And then we are putting this right into the food processor with the rest of the crust. Just like that. Okay. Okay, all that chicken cooking, I think was about, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. They're drying out. again, you'll see in a minute here when we make these pizza crusts and get them kind of prepped in the oven, ready to go, stage one. You could make multiples of these and just do that and freeze them and keep them aside, so you don't have to do this process every time. But so let's get our food processor ready here, and then we're just going to pulse this. I'm going to turn on high. Awesome. Take our blade out of there. Whew. I can smell. Yeah, it's even got a sticky dough consistency at this point. Just super awesome. All right. Now we're going to bring in our pan with our parchment paper with one layer down and one layer up. And grab kind of a rubber spatula here and get this stuff out onto the paper. And smell all those spices and the cheese, and all that's keeping this together is those eggs, which is awesome. So keto friendly. I don't think we have any net carbs in here right now that I can tell. No, we don't have the sauce yet, so eggs, meat, cheese, spices, no carbs yet. All right, just spread this out a little bit initially just to kind of even the load here, but then we're going to start working it with our hands with that other piece of paper. It's pretty sticky right now. Whew. I think I'll be able to work it easier with the paper, so I'm going to bring the paper in. So grab your other piece of wax paper for the top. Parchment paper, wax paper, whatever you're using. And then you can just start working this out. You want to get this down to about a quarter of an inch is about where I did it last time. It turned out perfect. Quarter to maybe a third of an inch max. And then we're going to be out to maybe a 12, 14 inch circle here. Maybe 16, we'll see. You can kind of feel how thick it is as you go. Don't worry about how centered it is. You're not going to take the whole pan up. And we'll be taking this thing off the paper anyway, eventually. It's like a big cookie, isn't it? I don't know, maybe this is closer to 12, 14 than it is 16, but it works out awesome. All right, so take this off and see, have a look at where we're at. Looking really good. Take my spatula. I got some thicker spots there still. I'll keep working that out a little bit. That's all chicken. It's just gonna cook up like a big, thick piece of chicken when you're done here. I'm just pressing from the middle out, trying to work that thing down to a nice quarter inch-ish. Oh, look at that, now we're getting out more like 14 to 15 inches. Take the lumps out of it. This is like that process when you're tossing dough, right? But in this case, you don't toss it, you're spreading it in another way. Beautiful. All right. And if you want, you can take your spatula and just kind of, some of these edges that may be super, super thin out there, you can thicken them up by bringing them in, and that can help you kind of create a thicker edge. Those edges are going to be going by that flame in there, and if they're super thin, they're just going to burn up and you're going to have a crispy, crispy edge, which is not horrible, but I like the edge to get a little crispy but not burn up. So I like to make sure it's up to like a quarter of an inch thick on the edge. By just pulling these last little bits in at the end. All right, cool. Ready to go. So next step, keep that piece of parchment paper you peeled around. Keep that around for a minute, the one you peeled off. We're now going to take this and get it ready for kind of what I call the pre-baking. We're going to put this in the oven at 400 for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is going to be enough to get it to a nice solid state. Then we're going to flip it, give it just like put some stuff on it. We'll show you. Flip it, put a few things on it, and give it like another minute so it's solid, and then we're out to the toaster or the wood fire oven. So one little note, this step, technically you can do on your cooking stone. The parchment paper will burn up around the edges, but not on fire. It'll just get really, really dark. You can do this on your stone if you want. You don't have to use an oven. I did it with the oven last time, and it worked out really, really good, so that's how I'm showing it this time. I have done the stone first, but it was a different recipe, and that worked out fine too, but not as good as this time. So I'm pre-prepping these crusts in the oven. The stone comes secondary. The oven also provides an easy way for you to make a bunch of these at once if you want, and put them in the freezer. All right, 10 minutes is up. We can pull that chicken pizza crust out. It's looking good, pretty firm, and we're going to use that other piece of paper that we had already really quick just to flip this. Woo! Pretty solid. Just make sure it peels off cleanly. All right. Woo! There we go. Flip it over. Looking pretty good, pretty solid. So we're going to put it back in for 1.5 minutes or more, but first I am going to sprinkle it with a little bit of Parmesan to bake onto the crust. Okay, a lot bit of Parmesan to bake onto the crust. I am going to dash it again with some wood-fired garlic, some smoked paprika. It's all adds wonderful background flavors, and that cool chili roasted garlic Parmesan thing I got. I'm gonna dust some of that on there. You can put what you want, and then some Italian spices. All these flavors are the same ones I'd do if I was doing a pepperoni or anything else, because these are all just really good flavors to have behind the scenes. All right, I'm gonna throw that back in for 1.5 minutes more. All right, a minute's up. It's out of the oven. You can see the Parmesan melted. It looks all toasty. We're now going to get this ready to put in the oven out on the fire roasted oven. We're going to end up putting that out there without the parchment paper. So I'm going to use that other piece of parchment paper that was cooking on before. I'm going to use that as a way to kind of get it off of this one, get it back down onto my my pizza peel here. We're now going to put all of our stuff on it and get it ready for cooking. That special sauce we made, ready to go. I'm going to pour that on there. Look at that, it's all nice and dark with the barbecue sauce mixed into it. And that was sugar-free barbecue sauce. It's Baby Ray's new sugar-free version. Love it. That was the hickory style, which should go wonderfully with pineapple and Canadian bacon. Whew, that might be a little bit of sauce there. Okay, now we're going to start laying out the good stuff. We're going to put the Parmesan on top because it's actually a cooking indicator. That Parmesan, when it gets to bubbly and melted down and spreading out and turning brown, that's when you know everything's done. Let's lay out this Canadian bacon. Some kind of pattern that is aesthetically pleasing. Look at that. Woohoo, perfect. Lay down our cheese. Now when I did this the other day, it was shredded mozzarella, which melts a little bit faster, so hopefully this cook time doesn't change drastically. This is a little bit of a wetter feeling pizza today. The Parmesan's wet, the sauce is wet, the ham is wet, Canadian bacon anyway, but looks pretty good still. Get some black olives on here because I just always love black olives. Oh yeah. And then, because I just can't get enough of it, I'm going to put a little more of the Italian spices on the top. In the crust, under the crust, and on top. All right. and she is ready to go out on the oven, which I checked a minute ago, and it is hot and ready. All right, we're outside in the snow. Pizza's ready on our peel, and I like this thin metal peel with the long handle. The stuff slides off that thin thing so much easier. All right, got that on Amazon. Our temp says 775. Woo, that is hot. Hot, hot, hot. We did this at 650 the other day, and it was killing it. So that might not be too bad with the extra kind of wetness we got this time. Oh man, it's up to 8 almost. Whew. It's gonna be a hot pizza. All right. Here we go. And we want to slide this off. I'm going to turn my automatic wheel rotator off for just a second. I'm going to make sure I slide this right in the middle. Sorry, I had to pull away there for a minute because see the peel is a little bit, got a little bit of moisture on it. Came off just a little bit more difficult than I wanted. Oh my gosh, when I pushed it in there, it looks like that cheese came off. Now I got to fix that when it comes around. That is my fault. It is right on the stone. Oh my goodness. We've got to fix that. I did the little sliding motion and this stuff slid right off the end. All right, we got that fixed. Yeah, see this sauce right here? When I took the peel and did the whole thing, it slid the ingredients forward because that sauce is so wet. So next time, gotta make sure the bottom of this pizza is a little less moist and doesn't stick to the peel as much when I get it on the metal peel, so it slides off easier. I know with regular dough pizzas and stuff, they use a wooden peel and they put all that corn flour and all that crap on there. Didn't have to do it last time. Mostly I don't have to play with these at all, so this one's going a little bit different than last time. Look at all that stuff burning up on the edge there. We'll scrub that off the wheel later, but okay, you see the cheese melting down? That's really our cooking indicator right there. It's still big and thick and it's getting wet and melting down, but when the top starts browning on that cheese, that's the good stuff. That's when we're there. And meanwhile, the bottom is doing its thing, getting crisped up. And this won't take more than like 5 minutes max. We'll speed up this video so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's awesome. This not only has the burner in the back, you can see it's got those toasters down below that are infrared toasters that are really cranking that stone up hot. On the pepperoni one, the pepperoni starts curling up and the mozzarella goes really brown all together. You can tell it's done on that when that's all ready. The pepperoni sizzles and bubbles and the cheese all browns up. It's wonderful. Cheese is mostly flattened out now, so we're going to get to a browning stage. The wheel is at 665. I'm going to crank it up now to full heat. I turned it down a little. Yeah, it's about 670 back on the wheel. Ooh. All right, cheese getting all melted, starting to brown up now. This is looking really good. I can see the edge of that ham starting to curl up right there. We're getting super close now. I do want that cheese to be a little extra crispy brown. That's how I like it, but I can see the brown spots right on there. I don't know if you can. Oh, this is gonna be good. Oh, that cheese is melting all over the place. Look at that. Yeah, use your keep your cheese off from the edge of the pizza a little bit. Give it some distance. All right, at this point, you'll see the edge of the pizza starting to get brown notes and or burnt notes. Just a little bit. That's fine. You don't want obviously your edge to go black on you, but that cheese is all bubbling all over the place and getting brown all over. We are just like about 99%. We're about ready. Looking beautiful. All right, here we go. Scoop down in there. We gotta stop the wheel first. Stop the wheel. Stop the flame. And just a couple little shots under there. So I just realized as I cut this and filmed it and the film was turned off, I just realized I never put the pineapple on my Canadian bacon pineapple. What is wrong with me? Regardless, this is nice and crispy and golden on the brown bottom. It's nice and firm like a piece of pizza. It doesn't flop like a fathead pizza would and be all greasy. And it tastes ridiculous. All right, foodies, little retrospective notes here after making something, what I learned this time. First and foremost, I put a little too much sauce on there. The ingredients kind of slid around a little bit while I'm shoving the peel under it and back and forth, and that made some stuff slide around. It wasn't horrible at the end of the day. There wasn't some big giant mess, just stuff slid a little bit. So you can reduce the sauce, it'll still taste just as good. I didn't do that before, that mistake before, but I just learned that if I do overdo the sauce, that's what's gonna happen. The recipe doesn't take that long. It's not an instant recipe. If you want an instant recipe, there's the whole recipe with a low-carb tortilla shell with your pizza stuff on it, put in the oven and whatever. You can do that pretty quickly. This is about a 30-minute recipe if you're doing things in parallel. So while you're, like we showed you, while your chicken is drying out in the oven and getting ready to make into a dough, you can get your sauce ready, have your toppings ready. Then there's the 10 minutes in the oven, getting the thing ready, and then there's 3 to 5 minutes out in the wood-fired oven or on the stone, and then a little prep in between. So all together about 30 minutes to make a really awesome keto pizza. Other notes: this tastes just like dough to me. I mean, not like the doughy taste, but there's no indication that it tastes like chicken whatsoever. Especially with the spices and the flavors in there, it tastes like a thin crust pizza. So you can easily overeat this stuff really fast, not realizing that protein's all going to settle and it's going to be heavy in a minute. So a half a pizza here is just like eating a whole can of that chicken plus the toppings and cheese on top of that. And I just devoured half of this, and I'm just like, ugh, because it hit, right? So you can slow it down, save the rest for tomorrow. Trust me. Again, if you're making those crusts and go through that process, if you want to make 3, 4, 5 at a time, bag them up, Ziploc them, whatever, freeze them so that you don't have to do that process the next time, then you're down to just a few minutes to get these ready. Anything else? These pizzas are just super awesome. I'm going to eat these every time. I don't think I'll be eating dough pizza for a long time. These are super easy. Yeah. So pizza oven about 650 to 750, anywhere in there works. I usually start around 650, 675, and then as it gets going, I crank it up and give it the full 700 to 800 and just let it toast off the top. I can't believe I forgot the pineapple for the Canadian bacon pineapple. What was I thinking? I kept saying it, and I missed it. So I'll have to do it again. Oh, shame. I get to try that, but that'll be fun. And last but not least, use all the spices and the toppings and the things that you like. Make it enjoyable the way you like your flavors to be. And these things are super variable, just like any pizza is. It's a lot of fun. Keto doesn't have to be hard or horrible or taste bad. Chicken crust pizzas, it's awesome. So if you enjoyed, subscribe, like, ask comments, questions, all that stuff down the bottom. And John, this recipe was for you, buddy.